The street is where we create. We call it suburbanpreneurship.
Mixing big company resources with an entrepreneurial spirit.
This is Electric People. Electric People, East Coast edition, Miami edition. What's up? Got Felipe Barros here with me, and we are interviewing the great Logan Smith. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
You threw us for a loop today, and I think everybody that's watching this on YouTube versus listening to this in their car knows exactly why.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How to keep people on their toes with the hat.
Yeah, dude. I had made the comment. I've actually never seen you without a Boston hat on. Not in your profile picture, not in real life. We've been to nice dinners. We've been to events. I literally have never seen you without it.
Sometimes when my kid comes in our room in the morning, like he's like, Dad, you need your hat. Puts my hat on before I even get out of bed. He's like, puts the hat on.
Knows.
Yeah.
Do you know the story about the Boston hat? He's just telling me.
No, he's worn it for like 2 years, but now he's doing this Bass Pro Shops hat.
So
I just think customers don't cancel when you got us.
It was like COVID. Like everybody thinks I'm bald when I go to the events and I have to take a hat off. They're like, wait, you have hair? And I'm like, yeah. But so I've been cutting my own hair since COVID, and like I cut it so bad, I'm like, I'll just cut the sides so they look good, they're short, and I put a hat on. So I never even wore a hat before that, but
he'd adopted like a Sunrun, like a sales personality when he took the job. He's like, yeah, who do I want to be? I'm going to be Boston guy.
Every single meeting he'd ever make it to, he always had the Red Sox hat. We're like, dude, this.
Hey, there is a thing. We've talked about this on the show before about like just like supporting the area that supports you, and like having like a pride in your area. You know what I mean? And it's funny because with sports teams and things like that, and California is a little bit more polar. So when I was like selling full time, if you're in Southern California, there's like 6 major sports teams in Southern California. So it's not like, you could be a Dodger fan, you could, whatever. Some of them are Chargers fans, some of them are Warriors fans, some of them are Clippers fans. Like you don't have like the core thing.
yeah.
But in Titletown, man.
One of the biggest problem is like I wear the Boston hat, and people are like, oh yeah, the Sox, and I'm like, I'm not a sports guy like at all. And I'm like, yeah, like, and they'll be like, yeah, what about that game yesterday? I'm like, yeah, man, it was good. He's like, they lost, and I'm like, oh yeah, it wasn't good, but so I kind of like I pick up on like the cues that I'm like, so now when I see people, they're like, yeah, let's go Sox. I'm like, yeah, they're doing good this year, and I'm like, so I kind of like have to put on this act that
it's
I
a conversational topic for sure as well.
I remember I was selling in Pittsburgh in '08, and that was when the Pens, they call them Penguins, they were they either won the Stanley Cup or got second in the like whatever. And I remember in a place like that, like Steel City, like the sports give like life and energy to like a community. And so I remember like on days when the Penguins had lost, like sales were down, like people were like legit bummed because it's like really industrial, hardworking city. And so that's their time. That's their thing to put their like their rest or whatever. And so I remember we were knocking once, there was a Penguins game on, and the guy came to the door like, what are you doing? It was like it was Christmas morning and I was knocking doors. And so we had learned really quickly, like when they knocked to the door, a lot of times they'd open the door still kind of looking at the TV. And I just kind of do it with them. I'm like, how are we doing? And they'd be like, second, they're not doing very good. And I picked up things from the group. And like, I remember being like, what's up with the Penguins? And they'd be like, it's a young team or whatever. And so I remember like poking my head and I'm like, how are we doing? Like, it's the, whatever, second period, we're down. I'm like, it's a young team. And they're like, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I have no idea.
Like, mind if I watch a little bit?
Yeah, you're just picking it up. But dude, like being a part of like the supporting the area that supports you is like part of the fun of like.
Yeah, it's hard not to have that in like New England, because it's everybody's just super passionate. Me, born and raised in Logan, born and raised in Boston. It's like, you grew up on that, that competitiveness, that grit. So, and I want to get started with it too, because I want to bring a lot of value out of this. Because, this show, it's really for people who are doing electric things. And I think the thing that's very special to you is ever since you've come in the industry, you've like really pushed the pace and helped a lot of people. And there's somebody listening to this right now, bro, that like they need a little bit of help. They're struggling. They're not getting by at the job. They don't have a lot of vision. And they're just like, is this for me? And I think we all have felt that in our careers a lot of times.
But I still feel like
you still feel that, right? And it's good people know that. And so I really want to get into some insight on you and like what is making you successful. And so kind of digging back into like the roots of how you got into this job. Like you've done so well, but where did this like grit come from? This hard work, this discipline I feel you have above a lot of other people that you work with. And you've just like really pushed the pace. So where did that all come from? That determination I feel you have.
I think I try to relate. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice too, but I try to relate a lot of it to like the motocross background. I feel like it takes like such a huge commitment to do that sport really well. Like you're spending weekends, weeks away at a time, driving 4, 5, 6 hours, sometimes 12 hours to a race. Where
Well,
it's
a bit
like,
of a chip on your shoulder doing it from New England, right? Where you don't
Yeah.
have the weather.
right. And like you show up to the race and there's 6 inches of mud, you still get to race. Like the weather's not a thing, you know what I mean? But all my buddies that I grew up racing with, they're all like own their own businesses. So it's like, I think something comes from that, like that ability to commit to something so heavily at such a young age that it kind of, correlates with the rest of your life, like becoming an entrepreneur, like having that like discipline to do what you have to do what you're trying to do. But like fast forward, my dad would bring me to all my races, stuff like that. He passed away when I was 18 and I didn't want to just stop doing the sport. So I was like, all right, now I got to figure out how I'm going to pay for all this and continue to race all over like New England, whatever. So I kind of just, I locked in, you know what I mean? I met my wife, I met her in the 4th grade, but we started dating, a year after we graduated high school. Her brother got me a job in the union, like jackhammering bridges, and that was kind of it. I did
Traditional
that.
Boston.
Yeah, it's just
Jackhammering.
Just Jack.
Met your wife in 4th grade.
Yeah.
Grew up racing motocross and then started you're like a man's man. Started jackhammering bridges.
yeah.
For the union.
But in the union. But it was at night. We were jackhammering bridges. But even
Is
with
that a job? Like, does it pay well? Like, you can get like overtime and stuff. Is it one of those things, or is it just like solid? Is it like consistent because it's unionized?
the overtime. So to actually backtrack it a little bit more. So my dad passed away on July 9th, 2009, a month after I graduated high school. And fast forward a year later, July 9th, 2010, I was racing. I was like in, I think, first or second on the first lap. And I went head first into one jump. I was passed out, no pulse, no breathing for 7 minutes.
Oh my god!
Got ran over by like the whole pack, to the same day, year later. And I think that when that happened, I wasn't with my wife, but I was like, I don't know what happened, but maybe something clicked, something changed. But sorry, this is where I was going with that. I went to college. I was at Bridgewater State University. Like I went there on like an academic scholarship. And after that accident, I never went back to college. Me and my wife started dating. I wasn't like doing anything. I was working at the dirt bike shop, just kind of like paying to keep racing. Like he would help me out. And my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, her brother got me a job in the union because I was just working at the dirt bike shop. And as soon as I got that job, I was like, I think ever since I was young, I've been like super competitive. And I would like literally compete with myself. Like if I didn't care about the paycheck was great, whatever. At the time I was 19, I was making like $35, $40 an hour, which was great. But I was like, all I cared about was trying to work more hours than I did the week before. I was like, I wanted to see how many hours I could work on the pay stub, not the money. I was like, I did 76 hours that week. I'm like, now I'm going to try to do 80 next week. And I'm like,
That's where it comes from.
I would literally beg the company. I'm like, hey, can I work a double Friday night? Can I work into Saturday? They'd do these big weekend jobs where they'd shut down bridges for like the whole weekend. And I'm like, can I work the whole thing? And they're like, we legally can't do this. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, but I'll be fine. And I would try to work more and more hours. I mean, it got to a point where you can only work so many hours. But like, to me, I was like in a competition with myself to try to see if I could work more hours than I did the week before. And I think I get that kind of from my mom. She was in the union 31 years, like different type of job, not obviously jackhammering bridges, but
like hands-on gritty work.
yeah, she worked for like actually like National Grid, Columbia Gas, like a gas company. Like she worked in the warehouse, like whatever. But me and my wife always make fun of her. Like she's always in a competition with herself. Like she calls us. She's like, yeah, I left the house at 6:30. I got to the grocery store at 6:59. They had to unlock the door for me. I was back home by 7:28. And I'm like, Mom, you're retired. Like, what are you going to do the rest of the day? She's like, can you believe I did that? And I'm like, you're competing with yourself, like to go to the grocery store fast. I'm like, and that's, I think I get it from her. Like, we always make fun of her. I'm like, she's crazy. She's out of her mind. And I'm like, wait a minute. I kind of like do the same thing. And it's like,
Dude, I think, so this reminds me, your dirt bike background, and it reminds me, so I was watching this like interview or something where Rob Dyrdek was talking about Travis Pastrana.
yeah,
And, the Nitro Circus guys, you know about the Nitro Circus, Phil?
A little bit, not too much.
It's these dudes that literally go into Maryland and do the craziest stuff in the world on dirt bikes, but they're like these like grown kids, right? And so Travis Pastrana was talking to Rob Dyrdek about like what they were doing on their trikes. So they have these highly modified trikes and they bomb hills and they do backflips off ramps and they're like cheering each other on. And he's like, Rob was like, I was talking to Travis and Travis was so stoked that he was the first in the world to do like this huge backflip on a mega ramp on a trike. And Rob was laughing. He's like, you're one of like 5 people in the world that's doing this. You have these highly modified trikes that no one in the world has on this mega ramp that no one has access to. And you're so stoked because you broke some record that no one even knows exists.
Yeah.
And no one will ever know exists.
But the cool thing is, the thing I kind of took from it is,
Mom.
don't we all do that? Like, I think in order to be successful, number one, you have to have some target, something that you're going for, and successful people gamify stuff, right? So even like your mom or like you saying like, oh, I'm gonna try to work more hours. I hear that and I'm like, well, yeah, that's what a 19-year-old should be doing. It's a kind of a weak strategy and you'll figure that out once you run out of hours, but it's the right principle. And so how well does that transfer? I remember when I was knocking full time, I would do this thing till the very last, until my job changed, but I wouldn't eat lunch. In my neighborhood, there was a Chipotle. I wouldn't eat lunch till I had 2 on Saturday. And so sometimes I just wouldn't get lunch. Yeah. And then sometimes I would have lunch at like 11:50, but always 2 before I'd eat. And I was by myself. Like nobody would know. It's not something I would like tell my kids about because they'd be like, wouldn't you sell better if you had lunch in you? But it's like, you find these little games. Or I remember like, I wanted to get a bunch of like local hats, like some like, Dodger hats or whatever. And I had a good job before this. I could buy a hat, but I was like, you know what? I sell 10. Every time I sell 10, I'll get a hat. And so it's like, I would get this new hat and secretly I'd be kind of like proud of it. Cause I was like, well, I got that.
Hat means something.
Yeah. I have 3 hats now. I have 30 accounts. Like this is, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, isn't that a thing that like successful people do is they find ways to make it a game. You're doing a service project. Let's break into groups of 6. I'll try and stack more leaves than you. Like, there's something to that,
Well, I've been talking a lot. It reminds me, I've been talking a lot lately over the last like 2 to 3 weeks about speed in business and like pace of execution. And I feel like when you're moving slow in life, it creates this indecision, this complexity to situations. Everything's bigger. There's more weight on stuff. But when you're moving fast and you're creating action and just having forward movement, it's almost like things become easier and like you're just having more fun along the way because you're not overthinking everything. I feel like, Logan, you do that really well. Like since the day you started, you just move very fast. And then you're just having a lot more fun, making more money and doing all the right stuff. And then becoming the example, but it's not that like you're more gifted or anything more than people. You're just like so fast all the time that everything's kind of happening your way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's really cool is we're in F1 right now in Miami. And this is Logan's 2nd time winning the League Tour. And League Tour, I think, is like the best.
Well, 2nd time, and you've only been onboarded for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's his second time.
I finished my combine, I think in May. So it hasn't even been 2 years since I finished my combine.
Yeah. That's right.
That's insane. And one thing I want to understand, I think competition just drives this like performance that people have. It just raises the lid. It's like this new capacity they're able to produce. And for you winning the League Tour twice, like what's your mindset? Because you've obviously done really well. Like what's your mindset when you get into the competition? Is there a different way you have to move? Is there a different thing you're thinking about? Like what's that look like? We have the rally right now. And I'd really love to understand, like, what's that look like for you to get the most out of it to really end up with the win?
I was hoping.
Also explain the tour and what it is for those that don't know.
So it's actually the Run X Tour now. They changed it. So
he's like, I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah. Sorry, Brad's going to kill me after that one.
Yeah.
You're going to get a text on that one.
I mean, I don't even know how to describe competitions besides you're just supposed to do the same job you're doing anyway, just a little bit better.
And sometimes free stuff shows up. And
it's always free stuff shows up. I don't know why, but the company just loves rewarding us for doing what we're supposed to do. But Run X Tour is the top 20 guys in the whole company. Top 10 from each coast go out to Utah headquarters, pick out
for the year.
For the year,
so to make top 10, it factors in everything from your quarterly performance to your performance in competitions to the people that you bring into the business. It's like the most like cumulative. It's like, well, F1, right? Like the points rig.
Yeah. So, and the best of the best from each coast. And I was actually the bottom, the number 10. Like I wasn't even the best. Year one.
Wow.
No, as he got
I
big.
was the 10th captain. Like I barely made it into the captains. Like, yeah. And like, it's the first half of last year, I wasn't really doing that good. I was building another IB spa. I was kind of like, and after I built that spa, that's when I was like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. I kind of got out of it altogether, and I was like, I'm just going to focus on this. And then I started focusing on this. And the first full quarter I did, where I kind of just locked into this, I did 27 installs. So that's kind of what I think gave me a little bump to be able to become a captain. But now that I went out to Utah for the draft, I will never miss something like that again. Like that was probably like the highlight of my career so far, I think. And I just remember the one thing I came back after the draft and I told Joe Knockin, and I was like, hey, just so you know, like I picked you first. When I picked your name, Ty was over my shoulder. He's like, oh, I think the old dog still got it. He's promotion. He's like, so you think you're still hanging?
The promotion over there, dude.
Joey. No.
And I was like, that's
cuts.
I'm like, he's number one pick for a reason. He was the third highest scorer in the whole competition. So
That's awesome.
yeah, just huge shout out to Joe. But
Joe.
what was the question? Yeah,
About competition. While you're thinking of that, the way it's set up is super cool. Like just to watch like people draft. Like we build an app and it has like the next highest ranking like goes up in the app. But the cool thing about that room for people that have not experienced it is you have the tour captains there, and these are people that have like their vision, they're locked in, they performed all year, right, to be in the room. But it's cool to see those people select people because you can, and it's fast, it moves quick. And so it's just like a regular draft. And so that question that I asked of, hey, do you think he's going to push as hard as you will? Those are like real questions. Not that I had a doubt, Joe. I knew you'd push, but they don't want lame ducks on their team. It's like, hey, I worked my whole year for this. Like, this is my career. And so they call them beforehand and they say, hey, I'm going to pick these 5. And a lot of times they'll be like, what do you think about them? They're calling them. And I see people out in the hallway being like, I need to know, do you have vacations planned? Like, I need to know that you're in. And some people are like, I'm taking you off the list. Yeah. And some people are like, you got to put me on there. I'll go to war for this. It's a very unique and cool experience.
Well, and just, I think having the experience of winning it the year before, like Breno was the captain, like we couldn't have done it without Breno. And Breno was going to be my first pick, but Mo having first pick of the entire draft, he took Breno, and I'm like, but on paper, my team that I drafted was like, it should never have won the competition. Never. And like,
Sometimes it's like that, right?
yeah. Like because they ranked the team, like each team has a score, and we were like the lowest ranked team, like by far. Cause like, I'm not going to talk about Thiago, but Thiago's score on paper is horrible. He's a director. He's like doing work. He's not like doing huge volume in sales, but coming back from the year before, I know Thiago knows how to like drive a team, drive competition. I'm like, Thiago just needs to do whatever he needs to do. He needs to help me kind of like
Coach the team.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm like, that's great. Yeah, I need Joe for this. I need Thiago for this. And I know like who kind of can step up when the time
And
comes.
cool story too. Speaking of Thiago, so Thiago knocks Logan's door, sells Logan. I'd love to like talk about that as
A
well.
little different.
How to work there? Yeah, explain that to everybody real quick.
So we actually didn't know how to do it.
Okay.
So
He double parked me in the driveway.
no, actually, that's even like way crazier than that. He, my buddy had a burner house. As I was building houses, and I drive by his house, and I'm like, he had 2 solar panels on the front of his house. I'm like, I'm like, Spencer, why do you have 2 solar panels on the front of your house? Right? He's like, the whole back's covered. Like, I just needed 2 on the front to get all my power. I'm like, oh, what's the deal with it? And he's like, my buddy, he works for Sunrun. Like, didn't cost me anything. He's like, I'm gonna send him over. He sends his buddy over. His buddy goes through everything, and I'm probably the biggest lay down sale you could ever get. Like, my house was right new. I just built it. And all I remember him saying from the entire presentation was, hey, your bill's only going to go up 2.9%. Eversource goes up 5-6%. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, where do I sign?
That makes sense.
I'm like, where do I sign? And he's like, sign. The kid's name was Kevin.
They surveyed the housing.
And like a month goes by. I'm like, hey, Spencer. I'm like, what happened to Kevin? I haven't heard from him. He's like, oh, dude, Kevin passed away.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our reps had passed away. I remember that now.
Yeah, so Kevin passed away, and then Spencer goes, hey, here's this guy, Thiago. This is who's been helping me since Kevin passed away. And Tiago comes over and pulls up in this like crazy looking Tesla, and I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, who's this guy? He's like, oh, you don't like come over at 8:30 or 9 o'clock? And I'm like, what? Why is it so late that he's coming over? I'm like, very cool. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But
Closing hours, man.
yeah, so he comes over, whatever, he gets me set up. And
Hey, kids, pro tip. You don't show up to a lay down at 4 p.m. It's like, I know I'm
Tiago's sticking to the principle here.
here. I get 1 or 2 before that. Turn a 1 day into a 3 day.
no, he literally showed up at like 9 o'clock. But so then fast forward, he installed my house, and I'm like, hey, I have like 2 rentals I just built like towards the cake. I'm like, can I do this on those 2? He's like, yeah.
He's like, let me check. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take away.
Anyway, so I'm like, all right, the exact same thing. I want as much power as possible. I'm like, just do it. He's like, no. He's like, we have to go like through it, do all the docs, survey. I'm like, no, just do the same thing. I don't care. I'm like, just do it. He's like, no, we have to do everything. So then he comes over another time at 9 o'clock, and then we're sitting on my front porch for like 2 hours, like 9 o'clock at night, and like he's got all the energy. You know what I mean? He's like going crazy, talking about all this stuff, like investments. We started talking about like the franchise that I just bought into. And I'm like, what is this solar guy talking about? He's like, yeah, here's my goals. And he's like, became friends kind of whatever. That's cool. And I'm like, serious, that's solar.
What? At that point, you're like, dude, like, I kind of want to work with you. Right.
Well, yeah. So he's like, I'm going to find land. You can build a house. We're going to do this. I'm like, and now it all kind of makes sense now that I know. And I'm like, so we became friends on Instagram, whatever. And then fast forward, like a few months later, I see him posting like, oh, hey, we're looking for a couple guys. I'm like, hey, what's the deal with this? He's like, no, you're good. Just keep doing what you're doing. He's like, I'll help you out.
Because Logan's in developing. So Tiago's like, dude, you're doing great. Like thinking, man, you're probably super happy where you are. And like Logan's just being like relentless about it. He's like, yeah, I want to come work with you guys.
He's like, I'll help you out. I'll install the houses you're building, your rentals, whatever. And I'm like, no, you're telling me I can go make this kind of money. All I got to do is buy an iPad. I'm like, right now I got to spend millions to hopefully make a little bit of money. I hope the house sells, hope the market doesn't change, hope the material cost isn't like way different than it is when I started bidding the house. And I'm like, you're telling me I can go do this, go buy an iPad for $1,000. I'm like,
do the same thing I got on my roof.
No,
yes.
And he's like, fine, whatever, just come into a meeting. I'm like, okay. So I went into a Boston South meeting. You were there and Tiago were there. And then you guys were like, all right, yeah, if you like this, like come to Central on Friday and see if you like it.
My interview with you was pretty tough too, right?
Yeah, he was like, oh, Tiago told me you're a stud. You're all set.
Literally. I like look at him up and down. I'm like, Tiago told me you're a stud, bro. You're good. Like you're hired.
Come on in. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that was only a couple years ago.
So I actually started work. I came into the meeting at Central. I don't actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe this was strategic by Tiago. Came into the meeting at Central a week after the rental got installed.
Yeah, oh no, we got to wait until the panels are up on the roof before that happens.
But like, I didn't know anything about rates. I didn't know anything. Like he could have put me at 60 cents, 10% escalator. Obviously it's not possible, right? But, and I just was like, yeah, do it. Like I trust.
But it's
hey, but I go back and look and like, you didn't, he like took care of
he
it.
did a good deal for you.
Yeah.
It's like really cool because you're like this, he's looking at you going, this guy's a smart developer. Like he probably knows all his numbers. He understands all this stuff. And Logan really just looking at it goes, okay, if the increase of the utility is this and I'm protected at this, then that just makes logical sense.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of there's like that curve, you know, the bell curve of like early adopters, late adopters. I think we're kind of going through that right now. But if you get to that like middle adopter stage, there's just people that are just like, dude, if this is cheaper and I don't have to pay anything for it, it just makes sense.
Yeah. I still have people that are like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
I mean, it's too good to be true.
That's really cool.
Still out there, man. That's great. So how did you attack it and what does your schedule look like now? Because a lot of people would look at your results and think, I'm just not willing to pay that price. What I've found is a lot of times the people that are having the most results, they don't come at you with really frantic energy. You've never had that. You've always been a really high producer, but you seem to be pretty in control of it. So walk me through your schedule and your philosophy on how to like be efficient and maximize the opportunity.
I think my schedule is kind of like a blessing and a curse, but it kind of comes back from like the construction thing. I'll leave my house at like 3, 4 in the morning if we're working days, or I leave at 5 o'clock at night and just like work. Like I would be home for like 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes. I'm like, my wife obviously was with me through all of that, so she's been super supportive. But now like I have 2 little kids under 3. So like the morning time is like when I see them, when I'm going to spend time with them and stuff like that. But to me, it's like I have this weird sense of like I just have to leave the house, like because if I'm here, I'm not getting anything done. And like I'm building 2 rental properties right now, but I try not to like dilute the sun and stuff at all. But so like if I'm building a house, these 2 rental properties, like I'll just go there, make sure I do whatever I gotta do, and then just head straight to turf. Because and I tell with some people like the only way I can possibly get a sale is if I'm in turf. Like it's not possible to get a sale if you're not there. Even if you're like still trying to button up things, if you're there early, but you're buttoning up loose ends like from other stuff. Yeah, but you're in turf. You're like, all right, hey, cool, I just finished this. Like I'm gonna go knock a door. Like I'm already there. Like, and if I just spend as much time as possible there, like my ability to get results is just obviously tenfold. Like you can't get results from the bench.
How far is your turf from your house?
On average, I'd say like 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I find that seems like it's strange that you said that. That's kind of a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Far enough away that you're not going to go home to grab some bread or whatever. Get in the zone on your way out, take a couple calls. I mean, market leader now, right? So like working with the guys and stuff like that. Interesting. Okay, so 45 minutes out to your turf. What time are you in turf? You said you got to spend how would kids get out and go?
So I'd say I usually try to be in turf by like 11:30 noon time. I'm meeting days just for after the meeting, but 11:30 noon time is probably the sweet spot, especially in the winter when it's dark at 4:30. I don't knock till like 8:30 when it's been dark since 4:30 because like at 7 o'clock people are like, what are you doing? It's the middle of the night. I'm like, so winter probably end around 7. Summertime I literally knock till 9:30.
Yeah, you're really effective with the hours you're working, I feel. That's what separates you. One thing I'll say too, real quick, sorry to interrupt, but one thing I'll say is it's cool to hear this because I think for a long time, and Ty, you can relate to this, when you're like starting off in business, you're like, man, once I have this, like I won't need to work as hard or I'll be able to pay somebody to handle this. And I think what I've realized about life, it's a very big fallacy that this world lives in, where they think the higher you go, the less responsibility you have or the less you have. And what I've learned, and you've learned this, the higher you continue to climb in life, it's like just more responsibility is constantly asked of you. And it's cool to hear that because you hit franchise last quarter. We did it on the last day of the quarter. We got 3 installs in on a Monday. So shout out to Shannon. But you hit franchise last quarter. You're developing and building 2 properties, which is very time, responsible, like just being on top of everything. You have 2 kids below 3 years old. Like you're juggling all these things and it's like nothing's really taken. And then you have this business that we haven't even talked about, which is they used to run for all this time, which was the IV spots that you were opening up and building and running full time. So it's like you're juggling all these things, but nothing's really taking a decrease. You're just moving at such a speed that everything seems to find its way to get handled. So it's really cool because there's people that are struggling to get 5 and don't have that type of responsibility, and then he's like juggling 6 different things and finding a way to kind of get all of them accomplished. So when it comes to time management, I feel like really you're just leaving the house at 9 and then just controlling everything you can control. And then eventually looking back and be like, oh, I got that done. Right. I got that done.
Yeah.
That's how I feel you operate, right?
No, 100%.
Sure.
I think that this was like, what I mean? If you fill your to-do list like as full as you could possibly, but you like full, like maxed yourself out, even if you don't get everything done, like you still got way more done than people that are just kind of like, yeah, like I'm just go see what happens today. You know what I mean? Like, say I put 10 things on it and like, I'm like, there's no way I can get these 10 things done, but I'm going to try anyway. And I get 8 of them. And it's like that 8 things, if I showed someone, hey, I did these 8 things today, they're like, how'd you do that all in one day? Because to them, they're just like, they don't have like a set path on what they're going to try to get done, or like they're not overfilling their plate to try to, maximize what they could do, like to achieve the same goals. You know what I mean?
What's your vision? Like, what are you trying to achieve? What's motivating you to go out and do these things?
Sometimes it's like competing with myself, but I think the biggest thing is probably like for my kids, like to be able to give them something. It's not really to give them something, but like I want to teach my kid how to work hard, and like that working is like something to be proud of. no one gave any to. Like, I didn't have anything handed me. Like I said, my dad passed away. Like, I didn't get an inheritance. He gave me a car that was $3,000 and a funeral bill my mom had to pay.
Was his passing a surprise? Was it a
Yeah, it was super.
Because if you were 18, he would have been young, right?
He was 53 at the time.
Yeah.
And I think, well, sorry, I think you were very close to him, right?
Yeah, super
when you
close.
talk about your dad, there's like some weight there.
Yeah, we were super close. It's not like we were like, oh, my dad, I didn't really have a relationship. It's not like that. It's like I said, we traveled all over together, like going to dirt bike races, like everything. We did everything together. And when he passed away, it's not like I got anything handed to me. Like, and Adam actually mentioned this. It's like his dad passed away at a young age too. And he's like, guys that lose their father at a young age, they're either forged in fury or they kind of just collapse. And I think that was, like I said, a blessing and a curse to me. Is like I had to grow up fast. I mean, I didn't have a choice. So I think that going back to like why I do it, I'd like to make it so like my kids can have it a little easier, but I want him to like learn why he has it a little easier first.
Mm-hmm. When you look at your schedule, so you mentioned that you spend time be a little more specific. So you spend some time with the kids.
Yeah.
You got to be out. So you go out to the territory. You work full days. What are the things in your schedule that are like musts that help you achieve things? Like, when do you do the planning for the team? When do you contact the reps? When do you do, what are some things in there that it's like, oh, because I do this, it allows me to be more efficient?
I don't know. I think it's because I always just handle things immediately. It's like, I don't have, it's like, hey, I'm going to deal with this then. Cause I always tell people too, like success, like loves speed. And like, you'll never find someone that's like really successful that takes like 2 days to answer a text or 3 days to answer an email or get back to a call. So like, I handle everything immediately as it comes in. And like some of the other managers, like, when do you guys work? Cause like me, Tiago, and Brenner are the same way. Like, we answer everything immediately. And, I think that that's kind of like a big part of it. Like, if a rep has a problem, like, I always tell them like, hey, like, try to save it for either after 7 or before noontime. But if it's like critical, just let me know. But so I try to handle all those things, like contact with the reps. Like, I tell them before 12, after 7, things for the team. It's just usually at night. I feel like managing those types of things. But that way, you know what I mean? If I do have to handle things while I'm out in the field, like, it's minimal. It's like, it's either a really urgent, critical thing, or it's like something that just came up randomly and I can address it quick.
Brian Tracy talks about that. So like original sales, like the doctrine of sales, kind of psychology of selling. But he talks about, I can't remember if it's 2 or 5 minutes, but he's like, if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Because you think about that, like, this is something for me, because like my email box, like and my like chat box and my like priorities, since I'm kind of dual role, I'm in the street and then I'm in like the office, but it can feel like I don't have time for this, I'll need to do it later. But even him saying that, like, it takes as much time to mark a to-do often as it does to solve the problem. Especially if the answer is not what you want to hear, but it's not going to change in 10 minutes, because then I end up carrying this weight. And so hearing that really helped me. When a lot of times I'll pull an email and sometimes I'm like, mark it as unread. I'm going to do this when I'm doing my email. But yeah, or it sits there for 3 days. But then I remember him saying like, dude, if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Yeah. And so it's like, listen, I know this isn't the answer that you want, but we audited his accounts. He beat you. I'm sorry, that's the outcome. Boom. Versus 3 days, the answer is not going to change, or anything like that, where it's like, hey, I still don't know what's happening with this account. Let me get you that answer real quick, right? And then you can do it. But yeah, I think that's a helpful tip. I like success loves speed.
And I think that like that kind of goes along with it too. Is like when I get a G chat from like a CX Pro, like I answer it immediately, because like me waiting to answer that later is like all it's gonna do is prolong me getting the deal. You know what I mean? It's gonna kill the deal, take longer. If I can answer that immediately and then just keep working, it takes me 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
What are things that you've learned from this industry that you hadn't learned in your previous entrepreneurial ventures or work? Like, what specific?
Everything. I mean, when I came in here, like I was working for myself, mainly building the houses. But I was like by myself. Like I didn't have like that team atmosphere, like the team culture, like the team support, everything like that. And I think you can only grow as far as like your environment. When I'm just by myself, it's like, hey, what I'm doing is I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So I think that like team building, and all that stuff has been a huge,
That's probably the biggest thing I think I've taken out of this is being able to help people get to the same spot that you're trying to do. And when you do that, it's helping you get there even faster. Like you don't always practice what you preach, you know what I mean? Like no one's perfect, but when I'm telling someone, like they're like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, hey, this is what I do, even if I don't do it every day, but now I'm like, hey, like that's what I do. Like I'm like reinforcing that that's who I am and that's what I do by building that in them. And it actually makes me better at doing what I'm trying to do at the same time, I think.
I always say if you feel useless, be useful.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're feeling like a loneliness or you're just like a little depressed or you don't know what's going on, just all of a sudden you start helping people. And then you're like, man, you remind yourself of who you are. You know what I mean?
Well, and I'm like, so it happened the other day and I was like, they're like, oh, someone's like, what do you do? What do you do about this? And I explained to him, I was like, hey, you got to do it just like this. Like, it was like the picture perfect situation. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. I'm going to try doing that. You know?
You just admitted it.
Yeah.
One of the things I feel like is very kind of intrinsic to you is you have these two very good strengths in sales. And one, I think, is somewhat of your sarcasm, which I know you're not a huge fan of sarcasm, but you're very, very like witty and funny. It's cool. You have these one-liners all the time with customers, but then you almost create this like trust factor with your customers. I think a lot of it comes from like a branch of it is, yeah, you take away a lot in your sales. Like he's always saying like, I don't know if they're going to approve you. I don't know what they're going to say about the home. So, where's
Like that's because that's what I had to go through. With
yeah,
you, bro.
exactly.
Trying to get solar, I'm trying to get on board. You were not letting me. Like
Where do you feel like that comes from? Like, cause like it's very true to you, and everybody that knows you well enough knows that about you. But like, I don't know, like you're just so funny all the time. You're saying these one-liners. I don't know if it was something your dad was with you or.
No, actually, I think it might have even came after my dad passed away. So after he passed away, I was kind of like I was 18 years old. I was kind of like
A little sad.
no, not sad really. Like yeah, I was sad in the moment, but I actually dealt with it really well. People were like, oh, you're not grieving properly. I'm like, I'm fine. Like, what do you mean I'm not grieving properly? Because I don't do it how you want me to. It's not properly. Like I always tell people like, why am I sad? I got 18 years. Most people don't get that. And, I think, but after that, I was kind of like crazy. I lost my license 3 times before I was 20. Like I was a habitual traffic offender, like speeding, all this crazy stuff. And I think like, just from maybe being like, you know what I mean, like a little bit of a crazy kid, like,
Or not taking life too serious.
yeah, like all I cared about was going to work, like enough so that I could race dirt bikes and, you know what I mean, have fun with my friends, for like a few years at least before I kind of got serious about it. But, I think maybe it came from that. But it's funny you say that because like Devin Arp came out to Mass and he shadowed me, and his notes were basically like, I can see why you do really well. He's like you're super witty and your charisma. He's like, you can't replicate that, but he's like, it's pretty like contagious. Like why you can see why you kind of do well where you do well.
how valuable is that assessment? I saw one of his the other day.
It was, so Adam asked me, like, he's like, how'd it go with Devin? Like, what'd you think about that? And
Devin is the oest of cheese, literally. Like, I mean, I started knocking, and I don't remember ever working and not having Devin there. So he's been at least 21 years, but in the street, like doing like respectable, good, impressive volume for double decades.
It's insane.
Yeah.
My response to Adam was like, I don't think, and I said no offense to any leadership, any management, but I don't think I've had a more beneficial thing the entire time I've been at Sunrun. Devin came out with me. It wasn't long. I mean, like 2-3 hours. We went to turf, and it was kind of weird at first. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like, we'd go up to the door, and he'd just kind of like have his back to the door and like not like interact with the customer, and I'd be like, all right, whatever. But so whatever, we knocked doors, like obviously we're talking in between doors and stuff, but he wouldn't say a word on the door. He would just kind of be like this like statue in the background, kind of hanging out. And I'm like, all right, cool, like whatever. And we would, in between doors, we wouldn't like talk about the interaction or anything really. And after 2 or 3 hours, we went back, like his car was parked at a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. And we sat in my car for probably like over an hour. And he had detailed notes down to like specific little parts of every single pitch conversation, like every door that I knocked, he had like a full like dialogue of how it exactly went, details on how I would do this, what you did, how I would do it differently. Like, it was, like I said, the most beneficial thing I've ever had since I've been working here.
What's really cool about that, Ty, is he goes out with Devin, and then like 2 months later, I'm like, hey, let's go out. I got an appointment. I want you to come just watch me and like see if there's anything you think I could do better at. And we drop off. We had a great day. It was really fun. We made a lot of jokes too. And drops me off. It's like 8:30. He goes on his way. 10 p.m. I get a full email. Mind you, I'm his boss, and he's like typed up this full email about what I did in the presentation, what I need to prove. And it was so funny because my first knee-jerk reaction was, dude, what is he telling me? Like, I got all these career installs, and then after, like, the student kicked in, and I was just like, man, this is amazing. Like, there's all these little pointers that maybe I'm not seeing that he's seeing, and he's giving me free game on it. He's just literally assessing my game and going, hey, you need to, like, do this better and improve your takeaways and do. And I kid you not, that email he sent me, because it came from you, had one of the most effects probably on me personally, where I was like, there's always these things happening for us, and it's just the perspective we have on it. But I really did appreciate that. And one thing, like, I've worked with Logan for a while, and he's been one of my favorite people to, like, see grow from our mastermind group to a leader, is you just have, like, a proclivity to, like, always share love. And I don't think it's you, like, on the outside looking in, it's like who you are, but I know deep down it's who you are. Where, like, he's always texting me every 2 to 3 weeks and just, like, pouring love and belief into me. Hey, thank you so much. I know you do it with all the leaders too. But you always just are like pouring love into people. And I think that same love is reciprocated to you because you're just a fountain of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like really proud of you, bro. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've just seen you kind of transform your life and who you are. Like last year was your first year with us, or the year before that is your second year with us last year.
Last year was my first full year. Yeah.
And what you,
Better than the union?
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah, let's ask. Not Jack Herman.
Not jackhammering.
Dude, I always say this. People work so hard.
That's insane.
They work so hard. A lot of it is finding the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, and not even just as jackhammering, like everyone, like Tiago's like, oh, he's developing houses like this. He's probably doing amazing. But it's like, to make half that, I had an infinite amount more risk. I have no risk here. If I do my job correctly, there's no risk here.
Dude, I've been talking about that so much. How much Sunrun, if I'm any other entrepreneur, so this is the facts. 80% of businesses in the United States within 10 years file for bankruptcy. 8 out of 10. And I just take the time to think. That's a pizzeria owner. That's like a Italian man that's raised and saved his whole life to stack the money up so he can go build a business. That's somebody who has a dream to build a nice bakery. That's somebody who wants to build a dance studio. They're saving all this money to go invest, and every single piece of the liability is on them. Yeah. Whereas when you come and join Sunrun's basically saying, hey, go create this business, do the best you can at it, and after that install, at a certain point, we'll take on the liability and handle that stuff for you. And that's unheard of in business. I mean, just imagine somebody saying, hey, Ty, you love surfing so much, we're going to open you a surf shop, and anything that happens with the surfboards, we'll fix for you, and we'll try to maintain those for you. Like, that's
anything that goes good with the business, you can take it. Anything that goes bad, we'll take it.
And then we'll live off this percentage margin, but everything else, like anything happens, you call us. It's just unheard of in the business and entrepreneurial world. Yeah. Whereas a developer is putting in $500,000 of hard money to go build something to hopefully make $200 to $300,000, deals with all the pain for 8 to 10 months.
And then if it sits on the market for an extra 5 months, you just lost $50,000.
And then your operating costs monthly of like keeping that property going. So it's crazy to me.
Suburbanpreneurship,
dude.
Right? To take it a step further, if you're good at it, so that's the sales business. That's the suburbanpreneurship where it's like, hey, you got to bring an iPad to the table. Yeah. And then we'll handle everything else, and you got to do the work, right? But as far as like the overhead and the risk, you're right. Then if you're good at that, we'll build your whole business.
We'll give you
a warehouse and people to fulfill and all that kind of stuff. It always makes me proud and happy when people see it, and then they take it and they're like, this, like, I've been other places. I remember when I first started selling door to door, they we always had these people come in and pitch these opportunities to you, and it was early 2000s, and they were franchising Subways, like sandwich shops. And they came in and they're like, hey, this is a good thing to do with your money. And at the time, it was like 60 grand. I remember 60,000 down to like get like franchise. That was like your franchising fee.
Yeah.
And then, if you built this thing out, you can make like 30 grand a year on a Subway and whatever. So people were going out and they were doing, and lots of people do it, and you can make money that way. But I remember having that thought where I was like, I have to pay 60 to make 30.
Yeah.
And my first year selling, I made like 30 or whatever. And so I was like, or I could just do this, right? And so this it's interesting because if you see it, you can work really hard and like pull from it. But a lot of people, I always say the main difference between successful people and those that struggle is just the way they think.
Yeah.
Same opportunity, you're just like looking at it differently.
Well, that's what I tell people is like, you don't really understand when you don't take the opportunity seriously, like you don't understand what you're doing. Like everyone like sees like, oh, these business owners, like that's their dream. Like this is the goal for everybody. Like I want to own my own business someday. And it's like, the grass isn't greener. Like I've owned my own businesses, plenty of them. And it's not comparable. Like, you know what I mean? You can own your own business and have all these headaches. Like a business is 24 hours a day. They're like, oh, business owners get to go on vacation whenever they want to do this. And it's like, no, it's like you work 24 hours a day. Like your phone never shuts off. Like nothing ever shuts off. And I think that's also, to go back to Sunrun, that's kind of what makes me good at this too, is like, I don't ever shut off. Like if someone reaches out to me at 10 o'clock at night, I'm there. I had one customer call me at 11:30 at night on accident. And I'm like, hello? And they're like, oh, I didn't mean to call you. I'm like, oh, all right. Hey, how's it going? And like, he's like, oh, good. And like, we're just like talking. He's like, oh, I'm happy you answered the phone though. That's cool. And I'm like,
You're like, yeah, I thought you were on fire.
Yeah, I thought your house like just burnt down or something like that. But so going back to it, it's like, you can't like this, like just what you said, like this is owning your own business with none of the headache, none of the risk. Like just go work on the business and that's all you have to do, instead of working on your own business plus taking all the weight on your shoulders.
This experience you had with Devin, it's cool because the actual, like, for someone like you who's a really high performer and sees it and is growing really fast, we always say training works better on trained people. So it's interesting the impact that the simplest thing had. Observing you knock for a couple hours, giving you feedback. That's all it was, right? But you said that was one of the most transformational sales experiences you've had in your career. So one of the things, when you look at the basics, so many people are trying to find these creative ways to do the job. The first door-to-door sale I ever saw in my life was Chance Allred's. I watched him knock the door and sell the person, and I could almost drive to the house today. I can see the person. It was such an impactful experience. And it was 20 years ago, and Chance barely remembers it. I talk about it a lot, so he remembers it, but it's like, I was just some new rep. He probably did that same thing every weekend. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this was getting ready to go out for summer, so we were on a Saturday, and he's like, oh, I'll take you. And, my hair was all different colors, and I was in huge, I was like the reps that you see that walk in, and you're like, bro, you better you gotta kid up. Who's gonna talk to you? That was me. But just the responsibility to turn around and pay that forward, because really what he did was he made the first thing. He didn't say, oh, I'm really busy, I got all these things to handle. One of the greatest things a leader can, I've been saying this lately, the leader's job is three things, right? The market leader's job. Bring them in, teach them how to sell, and show them how to be. Those are that's the actual job. Yeah. And so this art of selling, if you can teach people the actual art of selling, it unlocks the rest of their lives. And so it's cool to hear that was so impactful to you, because now, what if you said, hey, I'm going to do this for someone once a week? You're just having such massive impact, right? Or, as a market leader, every rep in the team is going to have a chance to see me get a sale and have that change their lives. But I really I remember I was doing a one-on-one with Chance, as my senior leader. He had scheduled a one-on-one with me. So I get this invite in my calendar, Ty Chance one-on-one. So of course I'm I got to get ready for my one-on-one. I got to be accountable, and Chance is going to ask me about my business. Yeah. It was 30-minute one-on-one. And for 20 minutes it was that. It was, okay, talk to me about targets. How's this going? How are the leaders? I have noticed this. What have you tried? Good one-on-one. The last 10 minutes he goes, okay, now what can I do better? And I was I wasn't ready for that at all. But he's just well, we're both leaders. You're seeing stuff I'm not seeing. Back to you getting feedback on selling. Okay, now what about me? And I was oh, I didn't know I was doing a one-on-one. And he sat there and he's what can I do better? And I gave him some things. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, I got a one-on-one with Mary in my schedule. Ty, Mary, one-on-one. Same exact thing. We get on the phone. She's like, hey, I just value your feedback. Can you please just tell me what you're seeing in the business and what I can do better? Wow. It's like the most senior person in our org is like, hey, leader, what are you guys seeing? So how valuable that is, right? To take that feedback, but also the responsibility of giving it, especially now that you're in the position that you're in.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was like, to me, it was like impactful too, because I was like, Devin's obviously super busy. He's a director. I know he has like some other responsibility on aside, like with training and stuff like that. Yeah. And he literally took that 2, 3, 4 hours with the hour of like going over everything, like, and zero distraction. Like he wasn't doing anything else. And it was like, I felt like, wow, this guy like actually cared about trying to help me and because he said like that, the reason why he was shadowing me is like, Adam said, pick these 2 guys, like the top performers, they get the least help because everyone's like, oh, they're all set. They're doing what they need to do. Yeah. And it was like, this guy just took, whatever it was, 4 or 5 hours out of his day where he just like did nothing else besides help me. And I was like, where do you find that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say it's funny because like that intention I feel like he gave made you care even more too.
Like I didn't know the guy before that. And now I'm like,
you feel soul bonded.
Yeah. I'm like, I see him in New Zealand. I'm like, Devin. I'm like, what's going on, man? It's like, it's my best friend because like he did that for me. You know what I mean?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You got a lot of good stuff going right now. Boston Elite's been amazing. You obviously have like a great leadership group there. We've been talking a lot, and I love that you brought this up, Ty, about living an exciting life. It's something I've actually been really focused on and talking a lot about with my groups. Logan Smith, 5 years from now, like what is he doing? What is he running? What type of team is it? Like where is he at that makes it exciting and electric? Like 5 years from now, what would that look like?
What, as far as like
just your life
in my life or
you're
in this
designing
business?
your life right now. 5
So
years
it's funny,
from now.
like if you had asked me this question 6 months ago, it probably would have been completely different. As of recently, like if you said to me like, hey, we're gonna go open a market here and it's gonna be amazing, like this is great, you guys like go take this and run with it, I would have been like, absolutely not, I would never do that. And like I don't even know how it came up. Me and my wife were talking, and I was like, oh, like these guys, like I was talking to John Sanders, and he's like, if there's a new market opens up, I'm going there. And I'm like, why? He's like, it's the best. He's like, there's nothing better than a new market. And I'm like, oh, all right, cool. And so I said to my wife, Becca, I'm like, hey, would you ever move? Like if they wanted us to like go do something? And she's like, yeah, why not? She's like, all these guys that do really good, they do it. I'm like, cool. So yeah, do I want to leave? No. But 5 years from now, like say Massachusetts, every house that can have solar has solar, and it's like, hey, this just isn't really a market for us anymore. Like I would go, I would change markets, kind of go there. Cause now I feel like I get a lot of purpose and fulfillment from like, yeah, it's great. Like I don't like the money's great, but to me, it's like being able to perform at a high level, be the guy, like everyone's like, oh, put a target on his back. That's what I get fulfillment from. That's what kind of gives me purpose. So I think like to be able to keep doing this job and like keep like helping people and like getting that fulfillment, I would do anything. I would go to a new market, but 5 years from now, Massachusetts is still good. I'll still be here. You know what I mean? Running a top team. The rentals would probably be the main thing for my income and just kind of keep doing this.
One thing you do really well is like Logan invests a lot of his money. So it's like, you always are putting money into your investments, I feel, with the rentals or that.
Yeah, I'm broke, man.
Yeah, constantly.
I'm
a real estate developer, bro.
$771,000. I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
It's good.
Money's gone.
Yeah, you gotta stay productively poor, right? Like put it into stuff and earn it back.
Yeah.
Well, dude, this is it's been awesome to get to know you a little bit better. There's so many people that see you on the leaderboard, and again, helping people understand how you think is gonna. You'll see people reach out. You'll get a lot of texts, but it's been a very impactful and insightful conversation. So thank you for sharing. Of course, you're on an incentive weekend and took some time to do this, so thank you.
There's a little plot twist too. Is I told Phil this last night, but at the beginning of the Run X tour, Adam goes, like, he just kept hyping Mo up because Mo was the number one pick. He's like, Mo, they just did the podcast. He's like, as soon as you win the Run X tour, we're going to release the podcast. Like, it's going to be great. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, really, Adam? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So we win the Run X tour. I'm like, oh, looks like no one's ever going to hear Mo's voice. And Adam said nothing. And I'm like, all right, cool. So then a couple weeks later, whatever, they released Mo's podcast. Like, I love Mo. Like, I love working with him.
Best.
Yeah. And, I'm like, wow. So if Adam ever asked me to go on this podcast, I'm going to have to say no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have to say no. And then all of a sudden I get this invite from Ty and I'm like, I can't say no. It's Ty. It's not Adam. Like I can't say
Hey,
no.
we got to give the people what they want.
Yeah. But so if Adam asked me, you guys would have never heard it.
Okay. See, I didn't know that things happen the way they should.
Yeah.
People get what they need somehow. Most important question, favorite Supercross racer?
Back when I was into it, or
That's the question.
right now, it's tough. They all get hurt every week. I guess I would have to say Deegan, but
Wow. So the young
he's
blood.
fun to watch.
He's fun to
I'm
watch.
at a complete loss right now.
Yeah, you'd like Deegan. He's stirring up all sorts of controversy. It's intentional.
Sounds like
but-
He just got arrested for like
My guy.
street racing his car or something like
And
that.
then the next week he shows up to race in full orange kit, like he did because of who his dad is. He knows how to
Yeah.
play it up. But what about all time? Like who's your guy?
Like growing up, it was Chad Reed.
Chad Reed.
That was it.
Chad Reed.
Because he was
I'm gonna
kind of
have
like
to
an
appreciate
underdog.
that.
Like he was one of the best, but like it was like wasn't like he had a good chance of winning each week. But so when he did,
Chad
it was,
Reed's interesting because he went through the phases that like sometimes you see in this industry. So he was Australian, young, super cocky, really competitive, but hard to like because he was so. But you're young and you're vibrating with this competitive energy, and you just think your job is to win races, not like be a good brand ambassador. So I had a really hard time with Chad Reed, but then he gets some experience, gets a little bit older, starts to be like the experience kind of rounds off the edges and becomes like a crowd favorite. Everybody loves Reedy. Fun fact, Chad Reed's one of the richest Supercross racers to ever race because he took his money and invested it into the Australian Supercross really early and it exploded. So he's got all this money, but he's also stayed racing the longest. So he's got all this money, he's healthy, and he can no longer be competitive and kept racing for the love. And so then it was whenever Chad Reed comes out, completely won the crowd over because you're like, here's a guy, doesn't need the money,
Doesn't need to do
that's
this too.
passionate. And then when you ask him, he's like, I'm here because I still think I can win. And everybody got that.
so he was like good for like a second or third like every week, and then it was like so when he got first, everyone was like would lose it.
Yeah. Unless like one thing that's cool about the old dogs though is if ever you get like a rain race, then it's like because then it's like Wyndham would always win in the rain.
Yeah.
Or like even
'Cause
like
he's tall.
a couple weeks ago, Plessinger won in the rain. A couple weeks
tall.
ago. Yeah. So it's like these experienced guys. When everything goes to crap, that's when the experience rises up and shows them. It's really cool.
Yeah.
You still got it in you? You still ride?
So no, because I just work too much. But I always told my wife like I don't want my son to do this because like I got hurt a lot. Like I said, it was no pulse, no breathing for 7 minutes, and I still have 8. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dirt bikes in my garage, and my son now that's all he wants to do. So now he has 3 dirt bikes. He had a Stasic, he has a PW50, and he just got a gas EE2. Like electric one, and like he is insane, like insane. He just
Electric's scary.
It's my
Like,
favorite video of his son. He's like,
But, so, like-
full driving a bike, like slams his face into the water, into like the mud
puddle.
and gets up and he's like, Mom, that was cool, right?
no. So that's what I was gonna say. Is like, and it's like a proud moment. Like he already like loves failing because I brought him out. He's only 3. I brought him out on a trail and he kept he fell twice because it was like super rooty, and he's like looks at me. He's like, Dada. He's like, I'm not a good dirt bike racer. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I keep falling. And I'm like, oh no, it's fine. Like whatever. Like that's part of it. Like that's how you get better. And we had just gone to the Foxborough Supercross and it was mud. And the whole time every guy had fallen and he's like, Dada, they keep getting boo-boos. And he's like, I'm like, you don't remember last night? Like all those guys, every one of them fell and they're like, they're the best. And so it was a proud moment for me because then he all of a sudden hits a fence at the end of my driveway going like, fast and launches over the handlebars. My wife's freaking out and she's pretty calm because he's so crazy, and she's like, all right, that's it, like we're going to the ER. And he jumps up and he goes, was that cool, Mama? Was that cool? And I'm like, all right, like now he likes to crash, like now he likes to fail.
so valuable.
Yeah. And like that was me, like I crashed. I was either doing good or I crashed, and I was like, if you get good at crashing, it's all right. Yeah.
We're in Florida. That's how James Stewart towards the end of his career was. I remember like he would just have the wildest crashes.
Yeah.
But every crash that guy had would be a sell the bikes crash for me. Every single one of them. I had an experience similar when as my kids, I met my wife snowboarding, and so we just snowboarded our whole lives. And now I'm teaching a whole like gaggle of kids how to snowboard, which is really hard. And and they're like whining and I suck and like I want to go back and all this kind of stuff. And so we're at the bottom of the hill and I was like, hey, you guys need to be falling way more than you're falling. Like there's not enough falling in like the Williams house on this hill. And if you're not falling, it means you're not trying stuff. So like, I want everybody to fall way more.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because I kind of said it out of frustration where it's like, you're just not falling enough.
Yeah.
And the next run, they all fell a lot and they were so much happier. Yeah. Cause they're like, dude, these machines are built to be pushed. Like we're supposed to find our potential. We're supposed to, you know, that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like self-fulfillment, like finding out like who you actually like are. Right. And so, it's cool that this job gives us a chance to do that where if you see it right, like you watch like that, this show them how to be thing, you watch an expert knock and they get a no and it's like, it's not like, oh, it's just like, cool, like next. And it gives you the chance to do that, but it also makes you like you're supposed to be failing. These ratios, these installing like 1 in 3 or getting, you know, every 10 pitches, you'll close the deal if you're new. Like it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I tell people the same thing. Like when I did 27 installs, not last quarter, the one before that, everyone complains to me about cancels. I'm like, I had 22 cancels. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, how are you going to get anything if you're not, like, you got to expect the cancels, you know what I mean? You expect the failure because that's how you get, like, you learn what works, what doesn't work. And then my kid, like you say, they all crash now. 2 days ago, you know, from like doing the extreme sports, like when you crash really hard and your like legs are vibrating, like the shock kind of. We were out the other day and we're just riding around the cranberry bog behind my house and like he eats it hard. And like he's got a cut on his neck. Both legs have huge cuts on him, bruises. His legs are vibrating. And he's like, Dad, I'm a big tough guy. And this is this 3-year-old kid. So I'm a big tough guy. And I'm like,
pitbull.
I'm like, all right, you want to go home? He's like, no, let's keep going. He gets back on it. I'm like, all right, we keep going. 200 feet later, hits a sandy part, wipes out hard. And his legs are vibrating again. I'm like, all right, crew. His name's Crew. I'm like, Crew, you want to go home? He's like, no, Dad, we're going to keep going. We rode for another hour. And it's like, I'm like, all right, he's learning that like, you don't just stop. Like someone says no to you, you don't just stop and go home. He wipes out 3 times in one day. He doesn't just stop. He goes home. He rode the thing until the battery died. And it's like, to me, like that's where I'm like, all right, I'm doing something right. Like my wife, she's with the kids 99% of the time. Like she's doing something right that teaches him like how to like deal with these things, these hard things. And she always says like, hey Crew, like you can do hard things. And like, it's funny because he gets nervous. Like there was a big hill and I'm like, hey Crew, what can you do? And he's like, I can do hard things, and it does it. He'll do anything after he says that.
Well, I talked.
Make sure he has a neck brace.
Yeah, no. I talked about this last week, actually. I mean, this week with your group too, where like if you think about the MLB, a Major League Baseball player, guy making $100-200 million, whatever the price tag is, the best batting averages that they have is 3 out of 10. Like they're getting on base 3 out of 10 times they're swinging. And when you think about it with solar, it's like you don't have to sell 10 out of 10 people. You have to sell 1 out of 10 people. And if you can get good at that, and then like there's this experience and you know improving your skill set and all that stuff that happens. But like the best of the best is like 1 out of 7, let's say. So if you're talking to 15 people in a day and you're just going home with one, like that's the very best. You're MLB, you're best in the world. Yeah. And so like it's always understand this concept of some will, some won't, so what. Yeah. And like I told you guys, like my assistant Chrissy, you know, God bless her soul, she would always say, Phil, we don't work with people who don't want to work with us. And I love that because like every time a customer was being a little tough or they didn't want to work with you or those 22 cancels happened, you're like, I can't focus on that. I got to focus on the people who do want to work with me. And I got 27 of those right here. You know
I'll spend 2 minutes.
Forget that.
2 minutes, like I'll try to save it. If it's like not, all right, see you later. I don't want it. It's over.
Some will, some won't, so
yeah. I remember when I was new, you would always say like some will, some won't. I'll go sell your neighbor.
Yeah.
That's what I would always tell. I still say it now. Yeah. Someone's rude. I'm like, hey, some will, some won't. I'm gonna go sell your neighbor.
That's great. Hey, well, thanks for sharing. You deserve the success. I'm excited to see what you accomplish next, and looking forward to the run next for this year.
I'm really proud of you, bro. Just not only the salesman you've become, but you know the father you are, like the husband you are, the friend you are, leader you've become. I think like when you analyze all of those things you've become, I couldn't be more proud of you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So
I appreciate it, bro.
Good job, brother.
I think it comes a lot from you guys too. So I mean, even Ty, like I don't know you like deep down, but like I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that we do without all of you guys too. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. We are men expressing our feelings.
Yeah. Phil gets people to do that.
That's right.
It's my trigger button. I get it out of people.
All right.
If you're listening to this and interested in joining our teams, DM us on Instagram at Run the League.
What are you waiting for? Run the league, shoot us a DM, and let's get going.